Welcome again. My name is Tomáš Novotný. I'm the co-owner of REGARTIS. And here with me today, I have the pleasure to introduce Jan Holomek.
Good afternoon.
And Jana Trávníčková, who is just taking on her headphones. Hi, Jana, can you hear us?
Hi, Tomáš. Good afternoon, I can hear you.
Perfect. Let's jump right to it. So today we're going to talk about the lead registrant role under UK REACH, which is pretty similar to EU REACH, but it's good to go over some basics first of all, and especially share experience, what we learned from a lead registrant role under EU REACH. I will be just as a guide here today, and Jan and Jana will walk you through the role of the lead registrant under UK REACH. If you have any further questions after the webinar, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We provide full compliance services under UK REACH as well as EU REACH, so we have some experience to share. What I want to try today is to make it a more experience sharing webinar today, because this topic, I think, well deserves it. First of all, we will not be able to cover everything in those 60 minutes we have. And second, and more important, I'm quite sure we are not the smartest ones here today. So we would love to hear from your experience, how you were dealing with the roles of the lead registrants, or how you were negotiating with existing lead registrants. So after the Q&A session, we will make sure to spend at least 10, maybe 15 minutes in a discussion as well. So Jan, please take us through the role of the lead registrant and share your experience. The floor is yours.
So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, our favorite viewers. My name is Jana Holomek, and together with my colleague, she's actually sitting on the right side of me, Jana Trávníčková, I will be your speaker on today's webinar. As Tomáš said, the topic of the webinar is the pros and cons of being the lead registrant. So we are going to show what it takes to be the lead registrant and mainly how to be a good one. Before we jump in, please allow me to provide you with our reference supporting companies being the lead registrant. REGARTIS was founded in 2007 under the name of REACH Spectrum, and right away from the beginning, we were contracted by one of the big chemical companies, Bolshoi MHZ, to support them in the EU REACH lead registrant role for their amines production program. This cooperation lasts until today, and as many of you know, REACH compliance is a never-ending story. Well, today we support more than 20 joint submissions as the lead registrant secretariat, and those count together for approximately 100 companies being co-registrants. And finally, we have a dream job, you know. We are very happy. Securing regulatory compliance is something that we really love to do. And that means that continuously, almost every day, we deal with consortia and SIF management, addressing ECA compliance checks and improving quality of our clients' registration dossiers. So now I will pass the floor to Jana, and she will remind you of some basics from UK REACH, what's good to know before jumping into the lead registrant role.
Thank you very much, Jan, for a very nice introduction. And just my dear colleagues, allow me to remind you something about UK REACH. So I know that all of you know it because you are our regular participant in our webinar. So just very briefly, UK REACH is very similar to EU REACH, so there is and the UK REACH mirrors the EU REACH in 99%. Referring to data, so the database under UK REACH is still not so rich like database of chemical substances under EU REACH. So, but it's only the matter of time. The basic rules are similar to EU reach, as I said before, so it means that there is no data. If there is no data, there is no market. And animal testing is the last resort principle for gathering the information on substance. So it is also recommended to use alternative methods like read-across approach or QSAR studies. Also, the workers can have or should have the access to information on the appropriate substance that they use or are handling with. UK REACH is valid in Great Britain, so it means that is and Great Britain includes England, Scotland, and Wales, and Northern Ireland remains after Brexit part of EU of European Union, so it means that EU REACH continues to apply. The responsible authority is Health and Safety Executive, so-called HSE, and you can communicate with this authority via UK REACH IT portal called Comply with UK REACH. So if you click here on the link, it will redirect you to appropriate website. So I suppose that all of you is familiar with this IT tool. But if you have any problem or if you need our help, so if you need help with this, so do not hesitate to contact us. So I will continue with registration because it's a very important step. And this step secures information and substance on a substance manufactured or imported into Great Britain. The registration allows you to, as I said, it allows you to continue with your business in the Great Britain market. There are three options how you can register your substance. And the first one is grandfathering, followed by registration procedure itself. There is a deadline for grandfathering, so it was last week on 3rd of April and the end of April 2021. But now, if you would like to continue, or if you would like to still continue with your import. With import of your substances to into Great Britain, so you have to submit registration. As you know from our previous webinar, there are 3 deadlines related to or considering the hazardous profile of substance and also the tonnage band. The second option is that you can submit a new registration for a substance if you are not EU registration holder, or if you manufacture or import new substance into Great Britain. So you have to submit as a first step. You have to submit Article 26 inquiry. The procedure is still the same, and also the information requirements remain the same. So as under EU REACH, so it's not so complicated. The third option is submitting of downstream user import notification, and after that it's new registration. So this step is if you appoint your only representative based in Great Britain, and after that you have to submit downstream user import notification, and after that you can continue with after the deadline. So it's 27th of October 2021. After that you have also 3 deadlines for completing your registration. And there you can see the output from UK REACH IT system regarding related to grandfathering. I know that all of you know it, but just as a reminder, for better imagination, there are details on substance. So it means that is also substance name, EC number, or molecular formula. And if there is substance group for this substance. So there are still no lead registrants, and the second part is dedicated to your submission, so you can see the name of substance and type and date of registration. In a second part, there are details on a submission, so it means that this submission type is related to format or submission type in Euclid IT tool. After that, there is your tonnage band and also substance name, if there are any texting proposals or not, and just a lot of new required information. Second output is related to downstream user import notification. So as the first step, if you would like to submit DUIN, so you have to submit or generate the DUIN number. So, and a form of this number is this number is very long. And after that, you can use this number in a spreadsheet table, which that is sent to HSE via email. I will continue with the registration and deadlines. So it, as I said before, deadlines are related to appropriate tonnage band. There are only three groups of three tonnage bands. So it's one ton to 100 ton per year. And second is 100 ton to 1,000 ton and above 1,000 ton per year. These deadlines are not deadlines, but the next steps related to registration start from 28th of October 2021. The information requirements remain the same as under EU REACH, as I said before, and also you can submit the registration as a part of joint submission, or you can we can submit this individually. Individual submission is related to the new substances that hasn't been registered under EU or UK REACH. You also can, if you submit your registration after a grandfathering procedure or inquiry, you will be part of substance group, because we have rich experience with these initial steps related to registration. I can show you the outputs, that is related to substance group. So in your REACH IT account, you can see substance details that are the same like I showed you before, and and the second part is dedicated to substance group. So now you can see if there is someone, or if there is someone who was a EU registration holder, and there you can see that there is one registrant related to my substance, and one person or legal entity that submitted inquiry according to Article 26. There are basic identifiers of substance, and also there is written that my company is part of inquiries, and after that we have to wait for the next steps, which will be sent us by via comply with UK REACH. So this was my last last information from my side, and now I give the floor to my colleague Jan, who is our biggest expert on lead registration. So thank you very much, and enjoy his presentation.
Okay, thank you, Anna, for a reminder about principles of UK REACH, about the UK REACH registration, how to get to the registration, what are the options. I must say, looking at how the UK REACH IT portal looks, I must say it looks much more readable and much more clearer than the current Reach IT developed by ECA. I must say that those British guys are good in putting things clear and simple on the screen. So now when we have substance groups, thank you for the introduction, how we get into the group, and all future registrants are together with all their contact information, let's become the lead registrant. Well, the best way is how to do this is to organize an election from the members of the substance group. And for practical reasons, because sometimes there will be few members in the substance group, but for well-known substances such as, for example, iron, you know that under EU REACH there are thousands of registrants of iron. It might be also rather a big group. So what I would suggest is actually get back into the past and take use of what was developed before under EU REACH. And back in 2008, it was CEFIC who suggested the division of members of each group called CFs under EU REACH to divide users according to their desired level of involvement, of coordination and drafting agreements and so on, and all decisions within the substance group. So I would definitely say that, okay, you should probably ask, or anyone from the members of the substance group should probably ask, okay guys, who is going to be the lead registrant? Are there any volunteers? And usually you get 1, 2, or even more companies who could be interested in being lead registrant. And I definitely encourage you to be the lead registrant. But you might also ask who would like to be involved. Well, not precisely to be the lead registrant, but to be involved actively in the developments at the beginning and the, let's say, medium stage of the game. There also might be companies who would like to be not really involved, but still they would like to take part in voting for different decisions. And finally, there will probably, or for sure, there will be companies who would prefer to remain passive. For example, they don't have, reach teams or enough staff, enough time to dedicate. It's not their most important interest to decide on everything, to get involved, so they would be passive. Well, actively you can, after that you can easily, let's say, call for different groups according to their involvement to take part on the activities. And the first definitely would be the election of the lead registrant. Well, first of all, and I will remind it repeatedly throughout my presentation, my speech, always observe the competition law. It's not that difficult, but always just be aware that there are things that you should not definitely discuss with the others in the group. Specifically, as an example, that could be your exact tonnages of export to EU or import, export to UK or import to UK, or tonnages of manufacture. Of course, prices are completely off the table, so that would be 2 most important things when it comes to competition law. Definitely, it's a good idea to also have the election organized transparently. Everyone should be included, invited to vote, so everyone can express their and vote for their favorites. And of course, it should be also somehow fair. And believe me, you will see these 3 topics, these 3 terms, transparency, non-discrimination, and fairness, several more times during today's webinar. And definitely, I would suggest that you document and store, if you are the one organizing the elections, or ask the organizer to document and store the information on the vote of the lead registrant. You never know when it will become handy in a later stage. Well, so let's say that we have a lead registrant, but definitely, who is that? Well, there is no definition given in the EU REACH or UK REACH, so I try to put one together for you. The lead registrant is the entity, a part of the substance group, a member of the group, enabling registration of a substance using the principle one substance, one registration. You know that for the same substance, preferably one complete registration should exist, the joint one, and there should be member registrations besides that. Well, it's rather complicated, so let's put it simple. The lead registrant is the one who does all the job. And definitely to be true, for many of joint submission members, it is the one we need to pay for supposedly doing the job which it claims to be so hard. But is it? Let's take a look. What it takes to be the lead registrant. What is the lead registrant qualifications and what are his roles? Well, first of all, because we are talking about UK REACH compliance, the lead registrant needs to be a good project manager. Imagine you are head of the group, you need to lead the group towards a successful registration, and that takes a lot of efforts. So first of all, the lead registrant should draft processes which will help all the group to get successfully to the finish line. And definitely all the group members, or at least some voting majority of the group, should agree on these rules, how they are going to process. This is very important to have a successful and efficient cooperation in any group. Well, the lead registrant should also somehow define or establish the way how to support his members, how to support them in their tasks, because actually, and I will come to that a little bit later, the lead registrant should be the most able company when it comes to knowledge and expertise under UK REACH, or have the best consultant available, of course. So it is somehow expected that the leader will also support the co-registrants in their tasks to a certain extent. And of course, we are in a group of competitive companies. So sometimes there will be discussions. There will be, of course, some meetings. So the lead registrant needs to be also a moderator of such meetings and the organizer. And if there are some different opinions within the group, some, let's say, pretty hard discussions or even conflicts may arise. In that case, the lead registrant should probably also act as a mediator of such disputes or conflicts. So the project management is one of the roles, and definitely the lead registrant should have a qualification to do that. Of course, we are talking about regulatory compliance. You of course know there are almost 30 or maybe even more lead registrants on our webinar today. So hello to you again. And you know that there is a lot of data and a lot of scientific work which needs to be done in order to prepare a successful and complete and most probably compliant registration dossier. So the lead registrant should be also a regulatory and scientific expert at the same time. Well, no battle was won without a proper strategy and approach. So it is important to define the strategy at the very beginning. How are we going to approach preparation of the registration, the submission, and so on? So from this regulatory and scientific side, it is very important to have sufficient background and experience. Well, that's not all, because the lead registrant also needs to be partly a lawyer. All the rules and all the processes that you agree within the group should be put in the form of an agreement, of a written agreement that will, on the one side, secure the commitment of the lead registrant to prepare the complete registration dossier, to include the uses, to assess the uses until a certain time, how to inform and cooperate with the co-registrants. On the other hand, that agreement, for example, the CIF agreement, would also secure to the lead registrant that actually the members of his joint submission or the substance group will somehow contribute to, for example, cost sharing or activities sharing in preparation of the registration dossier. Well, speaking of money, you can say speaking of the devil, the lead registrant also needs to be a good financial manager. Money are flowing from one side to the other side. Lead registrant is asking his members to pre-fund some work. Then invoicing happens from the other side if you need external help, and so on and so on. So the lead registrant should definitely be very strong in the financial management of the whole project. Well, not easy. I guess that it's worth to take a closer look on each of the roles. So let's start again, or let's explore more in depth the project management. The lead registrant should definitely have enough staff to be able to be assigned to handle daily business. There must be someone at lead registrant company who will be, well, first of all, leader of the UK Reach team. Of course, you can outsource these project management to consultants such as REGARTIS, for example, who would do all the administrative work and run the project from the start until the end, if there's any end, of course. The most important part of this is that any person who would be assigned to manage the project should have extensive experience with probably EU Reach, or in a later stage with UK Reach processes, in order to avoid mistakes. It's very important. The person definitely needs to know what he or she is doing. Well, nothing happens if there is no proper communication. So communication channels should be set up by the lead registrant. First of all, internally within the team, lead registrant, the most involved companies. We are very happy to use the Microsoft Teams platform to coordinate our work in REGARTIS. That's one of the options. There are other options as well on the market. External communication is as well important. So some channel how to communicate with the outer world. So for that, in REGARTIS, again, as an example of a good practice, or I hope it's a good practice, is that we have an email address set up for each substance that we manage the lead registration for, at substance@regartis.com. It is a shared inbox, so any member of the team taking care of the lead registrant has access to it, and much more. Every communication, any communication comes through that mail inbox. So we also have an archive if we need to go back and to dig an old email and all the information. We have this opportunity. Well, alternatively, as an option, and we do it, is I would recommend to launch an information website for the co-registrants. That will save the lead registrant a lot of work repeating the same information for all co-registrants. Again, as good practice, we use SharePoint sites because that gives us the opportunity to keep the information on one place, again, accessible with restricted access to all members of the substance groups or joint submission, and we post all important information and important updates there. Well, finally, as for any project, you should decide on how intensively, how frequently to report to your members, perhaps to organize some annual meetings, and most definitely for each year to prepare a plan what is going to happen in the following year or years. That gets us to the regulatory and scientific expertise. Well, you definitely have some experience from EU Reach, so I borrowed this image from the ECHA website. It's just to show you that there is a big pile of work which needs to be done by the lead registrant in order to prepare the joint registration dossier. So technical dossier, depending on if you have agreed that the chemical safety report and chemical safety assessment will be carried out for everyone or jointly, there is a need to develop that as well, exposure scenarios and other parts, and members then they will rely on the complete dossier and submit their own company specific or registrant specific information such as special uses or tonnages. Well, when it comes to specific tasks, it's not only about compilation of the dossier. You can see it's my point number 2 only. The lead registrant team preparing the registration dossier needs to know how to do it. So they need to get the data first, research them, evaluate if they are usable under UK Reach, compile it in Euclid, interpret the data, assess the risk, submit it to the authority in a correct way, and then of course react to comments which could be raised in the later stage by the authority. And what I found definitely most important, especially now under EU REACH, and that will be the same under UK REACH, it's very important that the team monitors the development of substance-related topics, because with that, you are ready to act when the authority approaches, when something changes on the regulation field for your substance, you will be ready. And definitely there is the same obligation to keep the dossier up to date. So the lead registrant should be able to do that. Well, I have mentioned the law team. Well, it's easy for them. They just need to secure compliance with the law. The thing is that they would definitely need to take into account law they are governed by. They should also somehow help to oversee the transparency, fairness, and non-discrimination rules. Actually, that would mean that any agreement content, if you draft a CEF agreement, it shouldn't be like you prepare an agreement, then you send it out to your members and said, guys, this is the CEF agreement, sign it and send it back to me. Actually, you should say, this is my draft, this is my proposal. Now let's discuss the content and let's agree what do we want in the CEF agreement. It's an ultimately most important document that the lead registrant will need to draft at the beginning of cooperation with the members, because it sets up the rule of cooperation with the members. It always should include data sharing and cost sharing clauses if that's already possible, and definitely should include financing and reimbursement rules, so everyone is perfectly aware of how this is going to happen when the times come. There are other types of agreements which will be more important at the later stage of UK REACH developments. That's a data sharing agreement. That's important mainly if the substance is already registered under EU REACH. That will be important in most cases. So the lead registrant should be able to review the data sharing agreement and to assess if the content and the form of the data sharing agreement is useful and is respecting the intentions that members in his substance groups are looking for. And at the very late stage, there will be a need for letter of access agreement, which is closely similar to the CEF agreement, but usually becomes relevant only after the registration has been done. Well, that gives us to finance when we are speaking about cost sharing, and this is unfortunately one of the parts of lead registrant activities when we oversee for years most of, I wouldn't definitely say bad practice, but that would be just to be very polite. But since we are talking about money and sharing the costs, there is a lot of space where something can go wrong. So to be the lead registrant and to do the cost sharing calculations in a proper way, first of all, it needs to be agreed with your members as usual. It should be regularly updated. There should be, of course, some recalculations when there are new registrants and so on. The same is valid for the invoicing and reimbursement process. Keep documentation of every invoice that you pay as the lead registrant and that you want to put into the accounting of the whole group. And speaking of accounting, one tip for all, I definitely advise to have a separate bank account management for each of the substance groups, each of the lead registrant financial activities. It pays off. It's so easy to then show this is the money we have received, this is the money we have sent out, this is the money that are left, and you can see for yourself, my dearest members, this is your money. I didn't put it away. I didn't bought a yacht in the Caribbean. I have spent it in an intelligent and proper way to secure our UK REACH compliance. Well, more details on cost sharing. I was already covering that in my previous slides. So just for those who are definitely new to the cost sharing under REACH and under UK REACH especially, there are definitely two types of costs. Costs which are shared by all all members equally. Each member pays the same amount. Those are usually called admin costs. That include some of them that you see on the screen. And there is another type, costs which are shared according to tonnage band. And this is the part when usually something may go wrong if you don't pay enough attention to the principle of cost sharing. Actually, if I'm registering in tonnage band 1 to 100 tons per year, that's the one that we have under UK REACH. There is no 1 to 10 and 10 to 100, only 1 to 10, 1 to 100. So why would I bother paying for the work which has been done, which and relevant only for higher tier tonnage bands like above 100 or above 1,000 tons per year? That completely doesn't bother me. So, and that is especially valid for data costs. So of course, paying for studies, development of data waivers, scientific expertise, and so on. But it's also valid for expert costs, because when I ask an opinion from an expert regarding information from tonnage band 1,000 tons and more per year, why would I pay for that expert judgment if I'm in the lowest tonnage band and it doesn't bring any use to me, any benefit? So beware of that. Also, experts costs should be shared according to the tonnage bands. Well, let's get more relaxed here. Financial management. Well, it's good to know that the money that you put in at the beginning may also come back in a later stage. Of course, the reimbursement, if there are more and more companies sharing the costs, your share gets lower, and definitely you should be reimbursed by the lead registrant. So I would definitely suggest to have the separate account. I already mentioned that, and to perform the recalculation of cost sharing every single time a new member joins in, because otherwise you will get lost in calculations in a later stage. And definitely be transparent, because money is actually the thing which is interesting to everyone. And one day there will be someone asking, okay, we have started sharing within 10 companies. How it comes that my share is always the same? Now we are 50 companies sharing the costs, and you will need to prove as the lead registrant how the money is, how the costs are shared, how is the reimbursement going on. Okay, that brings us to some examples of do's and don't. I've already mentioned some of the things which are okay, but let's repeat. Well, definitely first good example is start now. Substance groups are just born few days ago. If you are a member of a substance group, be active. Don't wait until the others wake up. And let's just send the message. If you want to be the lead registrant, send it away. I want to be the lead registrant. Let's start on some work, because the clock is ticking. 2 years seems to be a rather long time before the first deadline, but it will pass as the water under the bridge. So start now. Set up a clear, accessible way of communication. That's always good. Give also your members, once you are elected the lead registrant, give your members enough space to react. And of course, set up some rules of cooperation, have transparent processes. I was going all over the place with that. Well, what's not okay? To put it simple, it's the opposite of what is okay. So it's definitely not okay when you are waiting for maybe ever, when you are still waiting if there is anyone else taking the role and so on. It's never a good idea to wait too much. It's good to wait and to decide, of course, to think about what would be your approach, but don't wait too long. You will need the time later on. It's really not okay when you are the lead registrant and you respond late, or worst case, you respond never. So be active in the communication. When you get a question from your member, especially, or from the authority, there is a motivation, you know, from the authorities. So answer them, and you may always say, hey, I need to investigate this issue. I will get to you next week, but definitely get to them next week if you promise that. It's also not very nice if you ask for a close to deadline decision. So, hi guys, this is our draft. Let's vote until the day after tomorrow. I want your decision on that. Be aware that also your members, they have some processes in their companies. Sometimes people need to approve it with their directors and so on. So let your members have enough time to decide. Do not present your own rules as written in the stone. It's always good. It relates to the CIF agreement, of course. Please do not have complicated, incomplete, or unclear processes. There is a golden rule: keep it simple. And I'm not mentioning the last word, of course, but keep it simple is a very good way to go, especially in so complicated things like is REACH compliance. And never decide on your own that you are the lead registrant unless you are the only registrant, and that puts you in the same position. Never decide on your own. Involve your members, involve your co-registrants in the decisions. They will be very happy that at least you are sharing and involving them in those decisions. They will feel included in the group and in the decisions. It's always good to have support and to have them on your side. Well, enough talking for me. I would kindly ask Tomáš to post a new poll. If you have ever encountered some of these not okay practices from the lead registrant, please let me know in your vote. Okay, Tomáš, do we have you?
Yes, we do. I'm working on launching the poll, and it will be on the screen in a minute. Yes. So you mentioned quite a few ill practices. We included only a few of them in the poll, but it would be interesting to see if some of you encountered some of these practices. And I can already see on the screen that you have. I hope that it was in the past and it doesn't appear in future. But let's see, it can drive our discussion towards the end of the webinar.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that we have maybe also showed some ill practices that our viewers haven't met yet, and they will be ready to recognize them once they appear.
Okay, I will share the results of the poll on the screen.
Thank you.
So it seems that by far long response times and poor communication are the biggest issue typically, together with non-transparent cost structure.
Okay. So thank you for your answers. Thank you for being honest with us. And let's hope that maybe even our short webinar will help you to recognize these poor practices and to maybe show your future lead registrants, okay, guys, this is not very okay. Let's do it in another way. I have still 2 more slides and 1 more question for you. So let's get to it. Thank you, Tomáš, for the poll. And there will be one in few seconds again. Well, after all what you have seen, may I advise you to be the lead registrant? Is it reasonable idea to become the lead registrant? Well, definitely, and I have several reasons when to decide to be the lead registrant, especially if you are already the lead registrant under EU REACH. You have the best qualification, you have the best experience, and probably you have a team, or maybe you have a good or bad consultant. Then there is an opening to get a new one under the UK REACH. But if you are already the lead registrant under EU REACH, it's definitely the qualification to become the lead registrant also under UK REACH. It is a good idea to be the lead registrant if the British market is the key one for you. Remember, if you have many customers in UK, you are completely or mostly relying on selling your goods, selling your products on the British market. it is a good idea to be the lead registrant, and I will explain why on the next slide. Well, if you fulfill all prerequisites and if you have all what it takes and you have all the qualifications, or maybe you have a very, very good consultant that can help you with UK REACH compliance, it shouldn't be a big issue for you to be the lead registrant. And of course, if there is not anyone else in your substance group, you are all alone, and therefore you unfortunately have no other choice than to be the lead registrant. Well, if any one of these reasons is valid for you, note that you will get also a reward. Well, first of all, you will lead the UK REACH for your substance. It's always good to say. But most importantly, being the lead registrant means that you have a direct control over every process under UK REACH. You are the leader of the group. You get all the information. That's worth it, especially when there is a combination of number 1 and number 2 above on these slides. Key market, and you are the lead registrant under EU REACH. Even if the only one is the key market, or you are under EU REACH already the lead registrant, go for it. You have experience, you have the control, and ultimately, and one which becomes more and more important as we have the experience from EU REACH, being the lead registrant, you have actually the only way how to control costs of a joint registration. You wouldn't believe how big differences in costs of development of dossier, in expert costs, in administrative costs there are in between different EU REACH registration groups in registration joint submission. It's almost from, let's say, tens of thousands euros to hundreds of thousands euros, millions of thousands of euros. In one group, administrative costs go to 20% of the total sum. In other groups, it's more than 50, close to 60 or 70% either. So being the lead registrant, there is a way how to control the costs and to be reasonable, especially with regard to already existing EU registrations. Well, I have a takeaway for you. Let me give you something. This time it will be a message, but next time I will make a lunch for you, I promise. So the key message here is it is hard to be the lead registrant. You have a lot of work to do. You have a lot of initial investment in that financing, and definitely there is a lot of responsibility towards the authorities, towards your co-registrants, and so on. But on the other hand, you can do it, you can handle it, you can do it on your own if you have everything what it takes, or you can get the help of some highly skilled and reliable consultant. So the takeaway message is, if you find yourself in the position that you are considering to be the lead registrant, be one. And if you need to find the help of a consultant who can help you in a good way, I would suggest to consider these as the criteria. The consultant should have experience in the support of the lead registrant, definitely. It should have extensive proven knowledge of EU REACH and UK REACH. You can even try them by a quiz if you like. The experience and the knowledge in the field, the presence in the field should be long, because we are all remembering the saying, we are learning by doing. ECHA was saying that 10 years ago, and they are still saying that, in some parts we are still learning by doing. So having a long experience in the REACH field is definitely a plus. And what is most important, lastly, your consultant, if not you, your consultant should have a clear, understandable to you and a transparent strategy for each step and process of his support in your role in your role of the lead register under UK REACH.
Okay, thanks a lot. It was really really informative, and unfortunately we didn't leave as much time as we intended to for questions and answers, but we will make sure to answer them all after the webinar. So the only thing I can do to support at least one or two questions is to leave my leave the end very short. So we have another webinar in 2 weeks on biocides. If that is concerning you, we have plenty of webinars already on the web. You can watch them on YouTube, and don't hesitate to contact us if you have any further questions. It's hard to prioritize all the questions that we got, so I will do it another way this time. Is there anybody who wants to ask something live on air in the remaining 4 minutes? The questions that you asked through the Q&A's window, we will answer them after the webinar, but if there's anything you'd like to ask, please raise your hand.
Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot. So I'll be brief. So I also wrote my question in the chat, so I don't want to spend too much time. The question is very practical. So once you are part of a substance group and you want to, and you discuss it with the other members that you maybe want to be the lead registrant, what is the next step? I mean, in REACH it is clear, you can see the CIF members, the lead registrant and so on, but I don't see this in the HSC website. So what to do next? Should I submit a new registration with a lead role and the header? How to do that? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure if Jana wants to answer it, or it's very early to answer this question. To be perfectly honest, we are exploring ourselves as well. But my assumption would be that first of all, you are allowed to submit your registration whenever you want. So if you are for whatever reason, if you are under pressure to submit your registration as early as possible, you can do that. You can do that as a even without nomination as a lead registrant, you can do that. But you still need to take into account that afterwards, subsequently, if somebody comes and says, I want to be the lead registrant, you have to be ready to negotiate the role of the lead registrant or to pass over the role of the lead registrant to him. What would be the mechanism of appointing the lead registrant and letting everybody know through the UK REACH IT system? To be perfectly honest, we don't have that experience yet. We have a few clients who want to start the registration quite soon. We advise them all to start in May or June after the first grandfathering deadline to see who is there already and to be able to prevent some later negotiations that somebody else wanted to be the lead registrant. So we are starting now, and we can keep you updated once we learn how it is presented in UK REACH IT.
Yes, because indeed, you have this lead registrant place within the substance group that is empty now for any substance, more or less. And then my question is exactly how to populate that field, like even if I'm alone in my substance group and I want to submit the full dossier, then is my name going to be there, or the name of my company going to appear there, or how does it work? And I understand perfectly that there are no clear information yet, and we are all on the same page. But yes, if you had any advice, I'm more than appreciate.
We are quite likely to submit the first registration as the lead registrant either in May or in June. So after that, we can definitely get back to you to share experience.
Yes, that will be super. Yes, and also maybe if just a suggestion from my side, how to do that it can be a nice topic for a webinar if you have this experience afterwards.
Great, thanks. Absolutely, thank you for this idea.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for speaking out loud. You are the
no
first.
Problem. No problem. I never have a problem in this.
Great. You have the privilege to be the first live on-air participant on our webinars. Thank you for that.
Glad to be that. Thank you.
Enjoy the day. So time is up. We will make sure to answer all the questions and circulate the answers. Thank you very much, and we will be happy to see you again.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much also, and have a nice day. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.